Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live. I'm your host, Michael Williams. As you can see, I have my locks unlocked for this edition of the show. I'm feeling footloose and fancy free because this is going to be a really good conversation between two people who I really genuinely like and admire. Again, it's a pleasure to bring you this show as a service of the National Golf Course Owners Association, of which you are members and supporters, and we do, be assured, appreciate it. Let's just get started with the introductions here, because actually the introductions could take up a fair chunk of the show if we really gave them the respect that they were due for their resumes. But let me just get on with it really quickly so we can get these folks out here and get more of them and less of me. Our first guest is the CEO and co-founder of Bobby Jones Links. He is also a PGA member, a board of directors member of the National Golf Course Owners Association, member of the Club Managers Association of America, and an alumnus of the esteemed Accenture alumnus. That is, of course, our good friend Whitney Crouse. Our second guest is a guy who is a New York Times writer, best-selling author. He is an award-winning sports writer. More than 35 books to his credit, covered most of golf's major tours and events over the course of the last 30, 40 years. And he's been writing about the LPGA, the PGA, but to his credit, even before he wrote a word about golf, he ran and managed golf courses, which is how I started. So I have great respect for that. And let me just add to all of that, if there is, in fact, a Hall of Fame for nice guys in golf, this dude is in it. Please welcome Whitney Crouse and my good friends, Steve Eubanks. Gentlemen, welcome to Golf Business Live. How are you?
Thank
you.
Good morning, Michael. This is good.
Good. Well, I'm excited to talk to both of you, Steve. We've had some great conversations on the golf course, poolside, all sorts of things, about golf, about life. Whitney, looking forward to getting your input here. So I'll start with you, Whitney, talking about Bobby Jones Golf. But let's get the shameless self-promotion out of the way. You are a member of the National Golf Course Owners Association. Talk about a little about the benefit that brings to you, if any, I'm assuming.
Oh, quite a bit. I was active in the NGSUA, but not as active as I should have been until I became a board member. Mm-hmm. And when I dug deep and Jay and the board educated me, I found out what we really do and all the things, many important things we do, particularly the advocacy. And, going to Washington, D.C. this year, part of National Golf Foundation Day and the Golf Coalition and visiting some of the congressmen and being part of that. And if you add in the great conference we have in Monterey every year at MCOR, it's been a real delight. And getting into my fellow board members, because we all have different perspectives. And collectively, it's really very interesting and fun to do.
Outstanding. I'm glad you had a great experience, and we very much appreciate your input and your good hard work in support of the organization and its membership. Tell us a little bit of background about Bobby Jones Links and how you came to the organization.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Accenture, which was a lifetime ago. But when I got out of college, Michael, I was an accountant, and I was wearing a tie and coat and going up to the 14th floor. And I said, no, this is not going to work. So I became a card attendant on Hilton Head, just part-time, trying to figure out what to do in my life. And that was 42 years ago in the golf business.
Wow.
And that started running clubs down there. And actually, I was a junior partner in a management company with Steve years ago on Hilton Head. And that just led to continuing entrepreneuring and building golf courses in Atlanta in the 90s and 2000s and developers. And we started a management company 24 years ago, Steve Willie and I, that was 3 courses. And 3 became 6, became 4, became 8. And in 2017, when we were Mosaic Golf Clubs and Resorts, we built many of the viewers will be familiar with the renovation of Bobby Jones Golf Course in downtown Atlanta. Mm-hmm. The $36 million rebirth of that, we went from worst to first. And in the process of helping with that, our company, I asked Bob Jones if we could license the name for our company. And he said, yes. And I was like, wow, great. Now what do we do?
The dog that caught the car. What do you do now?
Yeah. So what it did was, and Steve was instrumental in this too, because he wrote a great article about it for Golf Business, but having the Jones name and the people, the talent we can attract and the customers. It's such a great brand and such a great family. At 60 years old, I found myself off to the races again. Steve and I, now we've gone from 3 courses to 40, and sometimes I feel like be careful what you ask for, but we've been blessed to do this.
Well, it's interesting, and you come into it actually at a great time because the growth in the game. We've seen so many new players, this new cohort of players that's so enthusiastic about the game. It only took, as I always say, a generational plague to do it, but here they are, and the industry is enjoying this growth. And
yes,
when you look at this new group of players, Whitney, and I'll throw this to you too, Steve, because you've seen a lot as a manager and writing about the game. Do you find this group of players to be different somehow than the group that's already there? What's sort of different about them and about their expectations when it comes to enjoying the game of golf?
Yeah. I think I can summarize it, Michael, in one word: sneakers. That sounds funny, but this new generation, it's so great to see them dressing differently, acting differently, playing the music on the golf course. I came from a traditional background, but this new generation, the under 40 group, enjoying the golf like they are, coming from Top Golf and the entertainment part of the game and bringing a whole new mentality, enjoying the technology. It's great to see. And I say sneakers because it sort of reflects the relaxing of some of the traditions. We've got the high-end private clubs, but the rest of us are just out there having fun.
Yeah.
And when I see Greg Nathan at the conference, NGF conference wearing sneakers and a blazer, and David Pillsbury at a conference wearing sneakers, I knew that the culture's changed. So it's neat.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, you can actually, that's a good, maybe it's more barometer than thermometer. I'm not sure which way that goes, but to check on exactly what the industry is doing, just sort of look down and see what some people
look down.
Steve, I'll throw that to you too, Steve, because again, you've been an observer of the game, and one of the people who makes game available. Both. You've seen both sides of it. What do you think what are the new characteristics of this group of people that's come into the game, and are they interested in reading and consuming stories about the game the same way? Do you adjust your craft to interest this group of folks?
I think I do a little bit, probably subconsciously more than anything else, because the business itself is relatively unchanged. It's the customer that has changed. And one of the ways the customer has changed is when Whitney and I were young and growing up, the aspiration was to belong to an exclusive private club. Right. And there was a social status that went with being a member at this level. Well, not only is that not the case anymore among today's golfer, they're repulsed by it. They want to get as far away from that as possible. Exclusivity is a dirty word now among this generation. They want nothing to do with it. They're all about experience. They're all about inclusivity. They're all about being around a diverse group of people that are from various backgrounds. And it doesn't matter what their socioeconomic condition is. That's what they're looking for. And so that's where I have seen the largest change over the course of the last 20 years, is that you don't sell exclusivity anymore like, in the old days when you had captains of industry sitting in big leather chairs, smoking cigars and kind of running the world. People recoil at that now. So that I think has been the biggest change.
Yeah, there's definitely some different expectations and aspirations for the game. That's certainly true. And well, as a private club manager, though, okay, you do have this sort of level of exclusivity that sort of inherent in the whole business. So how do you balance that, Whitney, between the fact that you are setting up a private sort of atmosphere, but also making it a welcoming sort of atmosphere?
Yeah, Michael, great question. And Steve's spot on this, but we have 22 private clubs, and many of them are board directed. And a lot of them are the boomers or older board members who still don't get it. The leadership of how these clubs have to change. As Steve said, it's not your dad's country club anymore. And some clubs get it, some don't. And we have to educate these board members. So that's the toughest challenge for us, is learning them, helping them make their club relevant, as Steve said, to the new times and the expectations of the younger members. But we still have this component well, the old stodgy board members. I know it's a stereotype, but it's changing, and it's going to change. But we're moving down the continuum, but it's still a battle getting them to bring their clubs into the 21st century.
Yeah, I mean, we're all moving down the conveyor belt, like it or not, right? So
Yes, we are.
Eventually, we will all time out, and the problem will solve itself. But for the time being, I mean, you described a situation where, I mean, to go to the Caddyshack analogy, you have like, the Bushwood situation where, you have the members versus, caddy swim. And you have, how do you, on a daily basis, and I'll talk about your staff now, how do you get them to balance? Because you have the players themselves and the members, and they have to deal with it. But I think the people who are really on the friction point are your employees and staff, who have to try to make sure that everybody plays nice out there, quite literally. How do you deal with training those folks and getting them ready for that challenge?
Oh boy, that's a big question. But as you know, Golf Business wrote a nice article about our service initiative that we worked on with Chick-fil-A and the Ritz. And, it's a cultural thing, and changing culture and changing the Titanic and the way people treat people, and educating young people. They get the relevance of the game and the new standards and the having fun. But one of the things we did, and I'll touch this quickly, when we did this, became Bobby Jones, we were going to focus on service. How do you master this? And so we hired a guy from Chick-fil-A that had been with the Ritz. And I love Chick-fil-A because the culture is terrific. Not only is the food good, but you can go into Chick-fil-A and a 16-year-old girl with pimples on her face who's just got off social media can say, "My pleasure, how may I help you?" And you can go right down the street to another QXR and it's like, "What do you want?" So what did Chick-fil-A do? Because we have the same labor pool. The same young people that are our servers and cart attendants are being hired at our golf courses. So they solved that problem. So we looked really hard at how they did it. And Ryan trained us. And so we do daily huddles. We have a service standards card everybody carries. Actually, Steve actually carries, Steve and I did an initiative years ago. It went on the wall and stayed on the wall and everybody forgot about it. But so it's to make it sustainable, you got to work hard at it and train.
Yeah, and Steve, I know you're very much involved in the municipal side of golf. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how that works. But with the municipal courses, which is where I started in operating municipal courses. I mean, I'm making the comparison. You look at Ireland, like you said, there's this exclusivity thing here, but in Ireland, I think there's one, maybe two private clubs in the whole country. The whole thing is sort of naturally lends itself to everybody come, everybody do your thing, and everybody get along. Does that have to happen in U.S. golf with this growth? Is it up to somebody to build that culture, or will it happen naturally? What are you seeing out there now? What do you predict the trend is going to be?
Well, from my standpoint, I don't think any culture happens naturally. And if it does, it's one that you don't particularly want. You have to work at it, and you have to work at it with every single detail, all the way from how do you treat a guest? How do you handle a situation that is likely to arise on a golf course? All of those kinds of things. How welcoming do you make people feel? What is the price point at which that starts to make sense? All of those things from a business perspective develop a culture over time. But if you just kind of let it happen organically, it's going to go in a direction you don't particularly want.
Everybody has a culture, whether you want one or not. It's just which one do you want?
Well, you guys just took a slide out of my deck, because that's exactly what I, as a communications consultant, organization consultant, I tell people all the time. You will have a culture. It depends on whether it's the culture that you want. Is it going to be intentional or not? Yes, but something will grow in that garden. You better decide what. I definitely get that. You talked a little bit about the consultants that you brought in, Whitney. I'm sure you talked to other people. How did you end up choosing those folks? I mean, you mentioned your personal experience too, but what were you specifically looking for them to impart on your staff?
Well, Michael, really the one main consultant we hired was Ryan Magnan from Chick-fil-A, outside consultant. And this is this whole service program we have. spent tens of thousands of dollars on and worked on. So that was our main consultant. The rest of building the team was when we became Bobby Jones Links, was just hiring and attracting some of the best talent we've ever had. So it's been a continual upgrade over the years. And again, the Jones name has enabled us to do that. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps.
An anchor is a brand for sure.
It does. Yes.
And again, I'll go back, as a fellow writer. I mean, that's how we got into the game. Actually, one of my first media trip was with you, Steve. The Dominican Republic, and I still remember it and how helpful and kind you were. And but for that, I may have ended up being an accountant, but
no.
No, for that in some alternate universe. But Steve, 20 years ago, the stories were Tiger and things about Tiger and what Tiger was wearing and how Tiger was winning and who Tiger was beating. It was so Tiger centric now then. And Tiger, everybody said Tiger was making golf cool. I disagree. I say for myself that golf isn't inherently cool, but sometimes cool people play golf. And is there, as you're writing stories now, what's the hook now for people? What makes golf cool? Because people are saying that a lot. No, golf is cool. Golf is cool. Are you writing about it in that way? Would you agree with that? And how do you portray that in the work that you do?
Look, before we went on air, we had a conversation about Pine Valley. I can promise you it's not cool. It's wonderful. It's a fantastic experience. Everybody who gets the opportunity should go do it. Nobody's ever going to call it cool. But you're right in that cool people do play golf now. It's become a very fun thing to play. Social media has had a huge impact on that because you can take a round of golf, compress it into a 30-second social media feed where all of the various clips of the things that happened on the course can be condensed into, a short. People see that, they enjoy it, they go back out and say, hey, this is something that I would like to try to experience. So I think the social media environment has made more cool people want to play golf, but you're still going to be out there for over 3 hours, maybe over 4. So look, you've got to carve out that kind of period of time. It's quiet. It's communing with nature. It's all the wonderful things that we grew up with. And that remains unchanged.
Right.
It's just more people are doing it now from various diverse backgrounds, which goes to what I was saying earlier. I think the inclusivity of the sport at every level has allowed more cool people to come into it now than ever before. But you're also right in that when I remember sitting in the Golf Digest editorial meeting in late 1997, where everybody was talking about how Tiger was going to revolutionize the game. We were going to bring so many different people in, and it was going to completely change every dynamic of it. And I just shook my head and said, guys, the demographic of golf is not going to change because of one man. It's not. And I don't care how, people looked at me like I had 3 heads at that point. But here we are 30 years later, and it's still the same.
I really couldn't agree with you more. Whitney, did you want to chime in on that?
No, I think so. I think Steve's spot on. I will say the social media is a big part, but the technology is making it cool. You can Top Golf. You can give too much credit to Top Golf, but Top Golf made golf fun. It was inclusive. Everybody can do it. You can dribble it off the tee and get points. You can socialize and sit there. It really did help with this sea change, and everything flowed from that. All these simulators, all these other things. So I give them a lot of credit for changing the culture of golf too, making it cool.
Absolutely, and the numbers bear it out. There are considerably more top golfers, if you will, entertainment golfers, than there are green grass golfers. And I'll bring that to the point because, Steve, I had agreed with you from the beginning about Tiger when we're talking about bringing people into the game. The people were so impressed with Tiger, and what made him so impressive was his skill. He was so good at it. He's the best player we've ever seen. So people were coming out to the course thinking, well, I can be the best player anybody ever saw. And I think we lost a lot of people because they never reached that level of competence that matched their desire for satisfaction. Not enough shot euphoria, didn't get it often enough. I'm going off notes here now, but I just want to get you guys' opinion. Again, I'll start with you, Steve. How important is it that people get better when they play to staying in the game? If they don't get any better, are they just going to go back to the to Top Golf, as you said, Whitney, where you can roll it off the top shelf and get 20 points?
I think a lot of it depends on what the expectations are going in.
Right.
If you take up the game expecting to win your club championship within a couple of years, you're going to be out of the game within 12 to 24 months because you're just not going to get that much better that quickly. If you're in this thing for the social environment, for going out with friends and beating it around and having a good time, and you're going to do it once a month, once every 3 weeks, then you're probably going to stay in, because that aspect of it has actually gotten better with the technology that Whitney was talking about, with being able to go out and play your own music on the golf course, play 9 holes if you want to, and then quit and go in. The friendliness and the open environment around the clubhouse, all of those things are attracting a group of people now that are there for the social experience and not necessarily for the numbers in the little box on the scorecard.
Yeah, Whitney, I can get your thoughts on that too, because I just had a conversation with Mike Breed about the expectation and how to match the expectation, and the fact that golf is hard, always will be hard. So if you're expecting to shoot in the 70s, if you're not putting in the work to get there, and they always know how much work that actually is, then all of a sudden it's like the guy who who buys a guitar expecting to play Freebird, within the year. And next thing you know, you got a dusty guitar sitting in the corner, right? So
yeah. Well, I'll add to Steve's that one of the very problems we're still having in the industry is, a lot of people take up the game and a lot exit. All these new people, and it's because the intimidation factor still remains, and they're scared. A lot of these beginners are scared to embarrass themselves, and a lot of them don't know all the other things besides instruction. I was with Tiffany Fitzgerald yesterday at Black Girls Golf, and we were talking about how she's trying to educate all her students on everything about the game, just not the swing. So when they go out on the golf course, they're not intimidated, and they feel comfortable. They know what a tee is and a pace of play. And I probably going to see Steve smiling again, because years ago we wrote a book together called "I Know Absolutely Nothing About Golf," because he and I saw a need 30 years ago, Steve, right? That if you went through the bookstore back then, everything was about instruction. There wasn't a book that said, here's how you dress, here's who Ben Hogan was, here's what a bogey is, here's how you make a tee time. I still think there's a need for that someone could condense all that into a video, whether it's the NGF or some other organization, to take the intimidation factor away, in addition to what Steve said, because it's still the biggest barrier, one of the biggest barriers.
And to that end, and again, this is my brief thought on a way to encourage people to maybe the private club experiences, because it's a limited number of people. Maybe it can be portrayed as a little bit more of a safe space than, of course, where it's public and you're open to public ridicule. That sort of thing is create that safe space in a smaller environment. I'm just spitballing here now.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You get on a public course now, and they're so busy, and you're a beginner, and there's 4 fast players behind you, and you're a beginner, and it's even more intimidating, right? Because they're so darn busy. It's like, hurry up. So we'll solve that, but the industry's got to look at that hard. If we solve the intimidation factor a little bit, we'll get more stickiness and retention of these new golfers, and then we're really rolling.
Steve, talk to you about again, talk about writing. Has this new group of people, this group of cool people that's playing the game, and this new group of people who's reading the articles. I know before we want to do interviews with Tiger, with Phil, with Ernie Els, this sorts of thing. Now, are you more looking to get interviews with, Travis Kelce or, Steph Curry? Has it changed the type of person you're looking to talk to be an ambassador for the game?
Not only has it changed the type of person I want to talk to, it's changed the type of person who wants to talk to me. That person who has just entered the game has done or has entered it at an amateur level and has achieved some level of success. They're very enthusiastic about talking about golf. If I go to a Steph Curry, the last thing he wants to talk to me about is basketball. But you talk to him about golf, and you can't get him to shut up at that point. Look, I'll use an actress as an example, Catherine Newton, whom I know, and I'm a little bit embarrassed because when I first started talking to her, I didn't know who she was. But she's a very good player. She had an opportunity to go play at USC and then chose a career in acting instead, and has done quite well for herself in that field. Talk to her about golf, you can't get her to stop. So it's one of those things that level of person, that caliber of player, that's the person that you want to try to go to get their input on how the game is advancing over the years.
And you mentioned women players. You've been covering the LPGA for some time, and I think there's been a rise in interest in the LPGA too. And I think it's underreported that the majority of that new cohort that's come to the game is women. So, right. Are you making adjustments? And I'll go to you, Whitney, about operations. Steve, how do you tell the story of these new women who are coming to the game, and how do you tell the story of golf to these women who are coming into the game?
Well, the great thing about it is we talked about aspirations before. Being able to point to women who have been in the game their whole lives and who have become successful at it is, to me, the best way to attract more women to the game. Whether it is a Catherine Newton or whether it is, a Nelly Korda, showing the women, look, this is where you can be, and this is what golf can do for you. That's a huge, huge aspect of this. So, Kathy Harbin, who is the current president of the NGCOA, is a very good friend of mine. She and I have this discussion probably once a week on how do you communicate with those women in terms of stay in the game, continue to be out here. Nobody cares what you shoot. And it doesn't matter what that number is. Nobody cares. So stay in, enjoy, be out here for the social camaraderie. And, I continue to tell those stories every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And Whitney, again, for women at your clubs, what's the membership? What are the membership numbers like? If you want to reveal some of that or talk about some of that, women versus men coming into the game.
Well, there are more women. There are more women. We know that from the data, from the NGF, from what we see. Just anecdotally, I can tell you being in our clubs. But I'll tell you one neat thing. I'm going to twist this a little bit. We have more women entering club management. We have seven women general managers. And they are really good. They're better than the guys. Sorry, fellas. But it is really warming my heart to see more women getting into the game. The pipeline was thin for years because of the Great Recession, but now more people are getting back into PGA careers and CMA careers, and I think women are going to take a large part of the leadership of the industry, which will also change the dynamic on the course and the culture, which really makes me happy. To see them embrace traditionally a man's role, which it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, and it is. It's wonderful to see. We got just a few minutes left.
May I interrupt and add one anecdote to this and kind of a personal proud father moment? My daughter is the new one of the new golf coaches at University of South Carolina Upstate in Spartanburg, and she's helping both the men's and women's programs. And she's finding she's getting a lot better response from the men. So it's been very interesting to see that dynamic. Normally in a men's college golf program, you wouldn't expect them to be as responsive to a female coach, but they're actually more.
That's great.
Now there's a story.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you guys on all day, but I just love talking to you, getting your thoughts on things. Steve, I want to go back to you as far as the municipal golf course experience is concerned. You're involved, I hear, in a municipal course in Memphis. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I have a very good friend, Bill Bergen, who is a golf course architect. Bill and I have known each other for actually longer than Whitney and I have. So it's and he's a very good golf course architect and was an exceptional player. He was a tour player for many years. And he has recently gone in to the city of Memphis and built the Audubon Club there. And it is not, it was an old golf course, and he basically has built a new golf course on top of what was the old golf course. It's a new routing, everything about it is new. It's just on the footprint of where the old golf course was. But this was the larger story here is the city of Memphis has decided that golf is a very important amenity. It's an important amenity to the city residents, and it's an important amenity to bringing tourism and other businesses into the city of Memphis. And they have made a firm commitment to, we're going to make our public golf as good as it can possibly be. And if it loses $1 million a year, so be it. That's the cost of having an amenity to do this. And they've created some wonderful product out there as a result of that.
That is fantastic news. I've argued long and loud about the intrinsic value that a golf course, a golf facility brings to the community. And it's so good to see public officials actually take that to heart and actually put it in their budget and execute that sort of thing. Is the golf course, it's operational now, Steve?
They're killing it. I think they opened August 1st, and I think they've played almost 6,000 rounds before the end of the month.
Wow.
It's just, they're killing it. Yeah. And again, they're more expensive than the old golf courses were and should be because of the quality that people are experiencing now, but they are absolutely nailing it out there. And look, I mean, as I was talking to the city officials, I'm like, how did you overcome what all municipalities deal with, which is you got one group who doesn't want the green fees to go up 50 cents because they will absolutely, they'll come and protest city council meeting if it does. And then you've got another group who says, why are you spending all of this money on golf when we need a dog park down the road and we need our roads paved? And the answer was, we have those people definitely come, but we've told them that this is an amenity to the citizenship that is going to make our city better.
Yeah. I love it. Whitney, I'll give you the last word on this. And I mean, they're killing it, but I think you're killing it too, in your world. And traditionally, it's been the, as you say, the aspirational part is you start off with municipal golf and you aspire to get into that club. And that's a great day, when you walk through those doors as a member. Is that so the path that you're relying on municipal to bring members, or are people sort of skipping a step and just coming straight to the private experience now?
I would say this municipal component is really important. No, I think they're just staying as golfers. I don't know if they're making the leap to private clubs, Michael, but excuse me, to Steve's point, and as you know, this community investment in public golf courses that's happening across the country is really exciting. I mean, Bobby Jones's golf course in Atlanta is an example, but you've got Augusta National doing the patch, and it's a totally redo to give back to the community. There's no profit nature. You've got the park in Palm Beach. You've got Cobbs Creek in Philadelphia. It's going to be $120 million of private donations to turn that wonderful old Hugh Wilson public golf course into something special with Gil Hands, but it's affordable. And here in Atlanta, in Bobby Jones Links, we're doing two others. We're in John A. White's at a public course on the other side of Atlanta. That the city saw what we did at Bobby Jones. They're investing $25 million to fix up this 9-hole golf course and build 20,000 square foot clubhouse, a senior center, a restaurant, fitness center, all for the community. And we have a client in Naples, Florida. We're building one. Very wealthy gentleman, I can't reveal yet, is going to spend millions to build a new 9-hole course, brand new first tee, high-tech driving range and restaurant, all for the community. So in terms of municipal golfing, you're going to see more and more groups give back, and wealthy people and companies support this growth in the game, which is a game changer for municipal courses, as you know, because they don't have the funds.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're going to see a lot more of this. It's very exciting.
Money talks. It does.
Money talks. Yes.
It does. But you guys talk pretty good too. Again, this has been just a pleasure to see you both and talk to you both. Congratulations on all you've done, and best of luck for all that you're going to do in the future to get this new cohort into the game, and the one behind them and the one behind them. The game is in good hands. I feel confident after this conversation. Thank you so much, Whitney, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Michael.
You got it.
What do you think?
When you look at those guys who have so much experience, I'm always encouraged that we have guys who have been in the game for a long time, but they stay young by accepting the new, by looking for the next new thing. And how can we not reject the new group of players or the new ideas or the new ways of enjoying the game, but they're trying to incorporate that. You stay young by being young. And I think the game is in good hands. The other thing that strikes me is sometimes you get stuck in either or. It has to be either this or that, either the golf course or the dog park. It has to be either private or public. But sometimes it's both. The answer is both. You can have both. And that's what gives you balance, is finding ways to do more than one thing at a time and doing it well. That makes things work. It makes this game work. It makes the industry work. And you saw two very good examples of people who are making more than one really good thing happen in the game. That was good. I'm excited. I'm encouraged. That's it for this edition of Golf Business Live. Again, I want to thank our hosts, our guests, Whitney Crouse and Steve Eubanks. I want to thank you for watching. Thank the NGCOA for making this all possible. It is a joy to do. So until next time, I'm Michael Williams saying go out, hit some balls, and hit them straight. We'll see you next time.